designer of Pop-It-Ups dies for Elizabeth Craft Designs, and today I'll be teaching a tutorial on this. How to style the Pop-It-Ups Jolly the Mouse die as a monster mouse. Pop-It-Ups dies are wafer-thin designs, and they'll fit in all of the major die-cutting machines. Jolly comes with 11 different pieces. Now 4 of those are used for the accessories. So there's a 2-part Swiss cheese die. I wanted that to be able to come with him so that when you're using him not at Christmas time, you've got something for him to hold. And then another option is the candy cane. That comes with Jolly as well. And it's again in 2 pieces so that you can do the red and the white. It is optional to use the Elizabeth Craft Designs double-sided adhesive when you're assembling the characters. I just find it really easy, so I often will. I'm using a big 6-inch roll here, and what I've done is I've cut the 4 colors of my monster mouse, and I know I'm going to need a little bit more green, just a little yellow for the eyes, a little bit of gray for the whiskers, and some black for his hair. And then I'm just going to trim that out. Now what I like about that is now everything that I die cut into those 4 colors are going to be a sticker, so they'll be very easy to adhere. This method is also a great way just to contain all the small pieces. So I can cut several of them at once and, from the various colors that I need. And then when I take it off, take the cutting pad off, well, in that case, it took the little nose with it. But, I can peel up the dies and then the pieces are left on the sheet ready for me to use when I need them. So let me just pause for a second and show all the pieces that I cut. So the 4 colors that had the tape on the back, the yellow, the green, the gray, and the black, there's a set of eyes from the yellow, a detail layer, feet and tail from the green. From the gray, there's a set of whiskers and a set of feet. And then the black with the tape is 2 sets of whiskers, kind of hard to see, and then the top of his head, because I just need kind of that little area right above his eyeballs. I also used a larger piece of black cardstock that would be big enough to cut 2 shadow layers, so that does not have tape on the back. Jolly shadow layer is different than all the other character shadow layers because it has these little cuts in the middle of his face. Those are for being able to tuck the whiskers in later. And if you kind of lift him up right now, it just makes it much easier to get the little nose cavity from the detail layer right over the top of those 2 slits so that you can still access them for his whiskers later. I always seem to forget on Cheaper's the Chicken and Jolly the Mouse that I should put the feet on first. So I just didn't press that edge down so that I can get in there and get the feet on first. I always forget. He's got those little fuzzy kneecaps and they should go over the top of the feet. So okay, get the feet on, and again you're going to see this little black shadow all the way around Jolly. The tail is in a separate piece. It will also leave a shadow. That way if you wanted to do a little white mouse with a pink tail, it's really easy to do because it's in a separate die. The smallest die in the set, so be careful you don't lose it, is that tiny little nose, and that will leave a little shadow. It's going to be hard to see on this character because of course it's black on black, but typically if you would cut like a little pink nose or something, you'd be able to see the shadow. The eyeballs go on next, and those have the little cutout, and you can spin that little cutout anywhere you want to make them looking in different directions. If you'd like them to look most straight ahead, then you just spin them until the ovals look like ovals. And now it's time to add those little whiskers. So those are self-adhesive. I can tuck them in behind the slot, and I can of course put those at any angle. But that's going to make it look like they're individual whiskers. So you're basically losing the little triangle connector behind Jolly. And I usually just fold it over and stick it down on the back. So if you use your imagination and think of some cute little mouse colors, you've now seen how to assemble Jolly the Mouse in the typical manner. But for this card, we're going to make him into a monster. So that's why I cut that extra little detail layer out of the black self-adhesive. I'm going to snip right up the middle of the ears. Then I'm going to go right across the top of the eye socket. And then I'm going to come across the top for the top half of the unibrow. That's a lot of times saying the word top. Just kind of going from the corner of the ear to the corner of the ear. And then that will make that perfect little unibrow to turn him into a monster. I'll just use a red pen first to add some bloodshot lines in the eyes before I add that unibrow. And when I'm ready to add it, it's just a matter of peeling up the liner and sticking it down into place. So you can see how this little monster mouse is coming together. The next thing I'm going to do is take a white gel pen, and I'm just going to add little fingernails and toenails to Jolly. After my white pen, I'll switch back to the red pen to add the scars. So I always add clickable supply links in a YouTube video below in the About section, but let's say you're watching this on Pinterest or Facebook or somewhere else. There should be a little information bubble floating somewhere on the screen. That will click you right over to my blog post where you will find supply links, photos, all the information that you need. All right, let's give our monster mouse some hair. So I'm going to go to that extra shadow layer that I cut and chop off one of the ears. Now it doesn't really matter which ear, just spin it around until it's the right angle to span across there and give him a little platform for his hairdo. And then you just need a little glue. I'm using my Lineco pH neutral glue in my fine line bottle, and those links can be found, of course, in the About section or on the blog post. Now remember, I cut some black whiskers. I cut 2 sets, so there's actually 4 little whisker sets there. And in all cases, I really don't want them to be as long as they are. So I'll just take my scissors, snip off the ends of the whiskers so that there's just short little wispy bangs. And then I'll be able to use a few of those sets up at the top to make the hair for our monster. And then I just need to trim off, if the little triangles go above his little hairline at the top, just snip those off. You may have been wondering why I cut a set of gray self-adhesive feet, and that's because the little bottom feet make great bolts for the monster. All I have to do with my scissors is just trim, leave the little stalk of his leg, and then just kind of trim at a little angle across the bottom and, make it rounded like a bolt would be. And then it's just going to go right on that shadow layer exactly in the spot that it would go if it was a full foot. So you can just kind of use the legs as a guide there, so that you will end up with a little bit of black all the way around the bolt so that it'll match the rest of the mouse. It'll have a little shadow layer. So all I gotta do with my scissors is just trim the bottom of the feet off so that I leave a little black shadow right around the edge of those bolts. Now when I trim the top of the bolts, I'm not gonna trim so close to them. I'm actually gonna leave myself a little black tail sticking up above the bolt. Then what I can do is, since the bolt itself is self-adhesive, I can kind of peel it back a little bit, slide the gray part over the green and stick it in position wherever I want it, and then the black will just go behind the mouse. So you can see what I'm doing here, get it in position. Once I like the position, turn that mouse over, add a little bit of glue underneath the little black shadow layer, and just stick it down permanently. That is my completed little monster mouse. He's ready for a project. Now the project I did with it is my designer challenge project for the August challenge, which was Inspired Creations. So there is a whole separate video that shows you what I did with my monster mouse, which is to add it to an open center accordion. So lots of cool techniques in that video. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can find it on the blog post if you click over. You can like my Facebook page, Karen Burniston Designer, where I post daily inspiration, and you'll always find more ideas on my blog, KarenBurniston.com. Thanks for watching.